Hey guys, we are live with another YouTube live edition of Everything Phoenix. And guys, have you wondered if the real estate bottom is here or has already passed? Is there more demand now than supply actually in the Phoenix area, causing the market to go actually back in the upward direction? Well, if you have those questions and you're wondering, is it still going to crash? Should I hold off to buy or should I go ahead and do it right now? You've come to the right place, guys. We're going to discuss that all that and more right now during our always informative YouTube live sessions here at Everything Phoenix. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you have the ability to ask a question and you're not shy, please do so. Let us know where you're listening from, and we would like to provide as much value as possible over the next 15 to 30, maybe 32 minutes if we go over a little bit, right? But who's counting? As long as we're having fun, we're going to stay on this thing and give you guys some value. So we're going to jump right into it, guys. Thank you for joining. Ask questions, leave comments, do all the above. Don't be shy. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to jump right into what's going on right now with the Phoenix housing market, okay? Because I would submit to you today that the bottom data only, data driven, the bottom of the market was the last week of December 2022. And that now in Phoenix, we have gone this direction, guys. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and let me just give you a graph real quick. All right. Let's go right here. How about this one? Cromford Market Index. You can see right here, guys, that look at this. Okay. It is going up. Now, this is Mesa. This is Phoenix. I don't want to put too many colors on here, but look at the curvature right here, right? This is the end of 2022. And look what we've done here in January in this short period of time in 2023. It is increasing. This is the Cromford Market Index. Now, let's just pop around and see Phoenix as a whole, okay? You can see right there is going up, right? Now, let's take off Phoenix in a second. Let's do the high-end areas. Let's see if the curvature is more or less, right? So maybe if you're looking at a property that's, I don't know, let's call it 800,000 or at least that, maybe a million or more, okay? Let's go Scottsdale, okay? Let's go to the higher price point areas around the valley. Let's go Paradise Valley. Paradise Valley, it's interesting, right? It's really taken off and kind of plateaued a little bit last week or so because this is micro data, guys. Micro data. This is the information you want to know. You don't want to listen to the mass media because that's exactly what it is. It's mass, it's macro, it's not micro data, micro information. Look at Scottsdale. It turned around, not quite as much because I guess it maybe wasn't as low as other ones. Let's see some higher end areas of the Phoenix area. Cave Creek, that's turned in the right direction. And of course, Fountain Hills, we know that's going to be, right? If you've been following this show, you know the deal with Fountain Hills leading the charge. Not as big curvature because it didn't go down as far as the other ones, but it's still going in the right direction as of the 1st of January, okay? Or right around there. So now let's erase those. Let's play this game here, okay? And now let's check out some of the areas of town that have been struggling more in terms of being more of a buyer's market, right? The sellers, the inventory was hit a little harder. Let's check out the outline areas. Let's go to our friends over in Buckeye. Okay. Let's check out our friends in Surprise, right? Goodyear. Okay. I don't know. Let's check out Avondale. Avondale is right by Goodyear on the West Valley there. Avondale has a little more of a peak, a little more of a turn, if you will. How about Queen Creek? Okay. So you can see the curvature isn't quite as much here. I can hover my mouse over this and you can see, look how low these markets were, right? And we're talking 40s, Buckeye and Queen Creek. Look at that, guys. Now, they're on opposite sides of the valley, so it's important to understand this is not just compartmentalize this problem or the problem of a buyer's market, I guess, if that is one, if it is a problem, to just the West Valley or the East Valley, okay, right? Because you have Buckeye in the West Valley, you have Queen Creek in the far East Valley, Southeast, Southwest, and they're still obviously struggling because they're on the outskirts of the valley. It's not as insulated, right? Location, 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 the 3 rules of real estate. But if you look at here, they're all starting to increase. You can see the curvature. Avondale doing the best, right? All right, so now let me show you this, guys. Let's go. Let me just talk to you for a second here. Now, there's this thing out there in internet land called clickbait, right? You probably heard of it, right? We try to stay away from that as much as possible on this channel, okay? But, we can't help ourselves sometimes because unfortunately, if we don't do some clickbait, sometimes you may not watch, right? It may not pull you in to get a little taste for a couple seconds to maybe watch our channel and hopefully realize that we're trying to provide a lot of value to you. But we still don't do it a lot. And we didn't do it on this one either, but there's some clickbait out there And Goldman Sachs, which I'm sure you've heard of, just recently came out with an interesting report. Okay, now I'm going to show you this article. Then I want to show you the facts. Okay, I'm not saying they're fully. Goldman Sachs is very reputable. I'm not saying they're off on this. Okay, but I'm saying it's pretty bold and it's macro to an extent. Then we're going to go into the micro details and see if they agree. All right. So let me show you this over here, guys. Here we go. I'm going to find it right here. All right. This is Goldman Sachs says 4 U.S. cities will suffer a 2008 crash in home values. Okay, now, for those of you guys who were around in 2008 and owned a house, maybe an investment property, there's some serious PTSD here with this, right? I mean, I still have it. I got in real estate in 2005, right? Phoenix got hit hard, as well as some other cities across the country. So if this is going to happen, brace yourself, right? I can't even fathom that it would. Being in the business back then, seeing where it went to, and then seeing where it came out of or how it did, and then now where it is today. I can't see it. I'm not as smart as Goldman Sachs people, but I can't see it. But let's see what the stats say. But let's go a little further and before we do that, and let's see what they are talking about. Okay. So the firm wrote to clients earlier this month that it predicts U.S. cities. Oh, sorry, guys, right here. I'm reading up here. Okay, right here. 4 of them specifically will suffer the most catastrophic, big word, scary word, catastrophic dips, drawing comparisons to the 2008 housing crisis. Holy cow, that's going to be bad. San Jose, San Diego, Austin, and our lovely and beloved Phoenix, Arizona will likely see noticeable increases before drastic decreases of more than 25%. So, is the little curvature that we're experiencing, I just showed you guys, the calm before the storm. We'll see. We'll look at it here. These declines could be similar to those witnessed during the Great Recession of 2008. Okay, home prices fell across the country around 27% at that time. And boy, I tell you what, that seems light compared to what Phoenix experienced back then. I would argue that Phoenix probably went lower than that. I mean, I know there are certain parts of Phoenix back in 2008 that went down 70%, 70, 70, on the outskirts, right? Way out there. So quite the statement, right? And they give some, interesting data behind this. You can see right here, there is Phoenix, and they're basically, saying because of the fundamentals of the COVID-19 pandemic and after the effects it had on other cities that led to the outflow of population into places like Phoenix, Austin, etc., that they basically got too high of a run up and they need to correct at a 25% clip. I don't know that I agree with that. Now, I'm all about affordability, guys, and affordability needs to happen. And I think affordability is something that's real. And if wages don't continue to increase at the same rate, you're going to have a problem. That's just as simple economics. At the same time, with all of the businesses and development that is happening and scheduled to happen in the Phoenix area that we discovered and went through last week on our YouTube Live, I don't know that's going to happen. But let's look at they give some more reasons here, and the rest of it's just kind of nonsense, right? But let's look at the specific data, and for that we go to the Cromford Report, guys. Cromford Report is the leading Arizona housing economist, and they have all the data, not the drama, or otherwise known as clickbait, right? All right, so here we go. They address this article. There's a story by Fox Business News, that's what we just saw, that quotes Goldman Sachs making all kinds of weird and unlikely forecasts. Not quite sure how to deal with it because its description of the current Phoenix market bears little comparison with the real world. This is good. This is good news, right? I kind of like where this is going, hopefully. Some quotes are, Goldman Sachs expects home values to worsen through 2023 amid continued skyrocketing interest rates and declining housing prices. That potentially could happen in the short term. 4 U.S. cities will suffer the most catastrophic, there's that word, right, they use, catastrophic dip, drawing comparisons to 2008. Phoenix, Arizona will likely see noticeable increase before drastic decreases more than 25%. So if that's the case, guys, then all bets are off. Keep your money on the sidelines and wait, right? But is that true across the board for everything? My comments are, not mine, Cromford Report, way smarter than I am, right? I'm just smart enough to know where to go find the data to give to you guys and of course, pay for it, do what I got to do to make sure I deliver that value to you guys. And here we go. Comments are, we saw skyrocketing interest rates in Q2 and Q4 of last year. The idea that interest rates will skyrocket in 2023 seems more than a little far-fetched with the inflation rate falling. It could happen, but to have this as your base case seems very irresponsible. Interesting. Is Goldman Sachs really saying Phoenix home prices could go up and then drastically down? Come on now. There is no data that supports that outlook. Just a wild but guess. We're not going to swear on the Everything Phoenix YouTube live show here. So just a wild but guess. Okay. In the Great Recession, the median price in Phoenix declined from a peak of 265 in June to a low of 109 in May. Okay. Thank you, guys. And here you go. That's a fall of almost 60%. 60. Okay. They just said 25%. So in 2008, it is not 2008 comparison. It is not a comparison of that time if you're talking about a potential 25% drop, which is what Goldman Sachs is referring to, compared to what really happened, which is a 60% across the board in a lot of cases. So again, get your facts right, Goldman Sachs. Okay. Please let us not compare 60% with 25. There you go. Since the peak in May 2022 of 475, the median was down to 412 by December. This is a fall of 13% already that we've experienced so far. The lack of coherent thinking in the text of this article contrasts with the interview with Ara Havnanian, which appears, he's a builder, right? He owns K-Hove, which appears on the same webpage. I went away from the impression that Ara had his head screwed on tight and that the Goldman Sachs housing analyst had lost the plot. Maybe Sky Business garbled the message that Goldman Sachs put out. Okay. I don't know what Sky Business, maybe that's Fox Business. I don't know. Also confusing are Goldman Sachs' recent forecasts of interest rates. Okay, here we go. This is important, guys, because interest rates are going to dictate, right, a lot of what the housing market is going to do here in the short and long term. November. Okay. This is the recent forecast. Goldman Sachs. November. Mortgage rates will drop 5% by March and property values will rise 1.8%. This is in November of 2022. They just made this prediction. And now in 2 months, they completely flip-flop. December, 6.2% average rate, okay, for rates in 2023. January, 6.5 by 2023 year end. Not sure how skyrocketing takes place in this context. No one has ever been good at forecasting mortgage interest rates more than a couple of weeks in advance, right? This includes Mortgage Bankers Association, and it especially includes Goldman Sachs, whose track record on an interest rates forecast is extremely poor. This is not saying much because there's no one who gets them right more than by random chance. Any time spent listening to people making interest rates forecasts is time you could have spent more productively. Okay, then they go and write to, as of yesterday, reasons to be cheerful for the Phoenix housing market. Contract ratios, here we go. Look at the nice color on this graph, right? This is awesome. And you can see, again, this kind of outlines the graph right here that we did, right here, of the CMI, right? For most areas going in the right direction, which it usually does, all right? So contract ratios are increasing. The contract ratio on Saturday was 41.9, right? This is the highest value since early September and tells us the market is warming up despite it being much cooler than this time last year. Purchase mortgage applications are growing very fast, and it looks as though the spring buying season will be better than we dared hope when gazing into the future last November. Guys, last November was rough. It was rough, right? Okay. Reasons to be cheerful, part 1. Here we go. Listings under contract. The count of listings under contract has increased by 22% over the past 2 weeks. This is the highest percentage growth we have ever measured for week 3 over week 1. Okay, guys, don't miss that. What we're saying here, or what they're saying here, is that Phoenix has a seasonal market, right? And contracts typically go up at some point here in the mid-January timeframe every single year. Guys, look at this graph. Look at this graph. It increases. This is 2020. The red here is 2020. This is 2022. Blue is 2021. It goes up and it peaks around February, stays pretty darn good all the way through about almost May, and then it starts to tail off a little bit as we head into June, and then of course it tails off even more so in July and August when it gets really hot, right? So this one dip right here, guys, this is 2020. This is the outlier for a month or two because of COVID, right? It happened in 2020. But look at the seasonal market, guys. So would it be reasonable to expect that in 2023, this pink or purple line here, purple line looks like, right, will continue to increase and peak sometime around mid-February, March time and stay pretty good all the way through about May? I think it is. So if you're looking to buy and you want to wait and you want to get this awesome deal, guys, I think you probably should at least hold off until the summer. But even then, we don't know what's going to happen. Even then, you can see obviously the market typically tails off. And now 2021, 2020 were very good years. They didn't tail off as much, but typically it tails off towards the end of the year, right? Like last year. So that's what the goal would be. Now we don't know where rates are going to be at that point because obviously if the Fed does decide to at some point this year lower the federal funds rate, mortgage rates could decrease, and therefore even though and therefore with the lower purchase price potentially you could have a better monthly mortgage payment. Okay. So, guys, these are reasons to be cheerful. Now, listen, I'm not sitting here saying, and nor is Cromford Report, that there's no risk, that potentially this all could happen, what Goldman Sachs is saying. It could, right? It could. But where's the fundamentals to support it? Because Goldman Sachs doesn't have it, especially if you're talking about 25% compared to 60% in 2008. It's already been a 13% drop. So if that's the case, are we talking another 8%, right? Until we reach that 25%? Or are we talking an additional 25% if they're even true off this mark? But guys, if you just have to just think for yourself, right? Sometimes, right? You see the local data, you see what Goldman Sachs is saying, but think for yourself, where do you think it's going to go most likely over the next 4 to 5 months? It's going to be probably a pretty decent market. I didn't say great, but probably going to go up, right? Contracts are going to go up. Demand is going to surge. It already has. Supply, we don't know what that looks like yet because a lot of people with 3% mortgage rates are holding on. They don't have to move yet. But demand is going to surge. And we'll see what happens. And I think if you're looking to buy, you still have this opportunity, this window where right now the rest of the market is in, denial, right? That this is happening because they want to just loathe on the fact that it's a bad market. The media makes money when they can sell negative headlines, clickbait, if you will. And so you have a lot of that. But eventually, this is going to get out to the masses and they will not be able to suppress this data. So we'll see what happens, guys. We'll see what happens. But I do think you have a small window if you're thinking about buying. Give us a call. We'll have to walk you through your micro area because your micro area could be really advantageous for you right now, or maybe not so much, right? We will see. All right, let's pop over here. Abby, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. She has a comment. Big facts. Thank you, Kelly, for giving us facts and not the drama. Love it. Data over drama. My favorite saying, facts over fiction. That's a good one, too. Hey, guys, remember, CMI, okay? I want to put this up here to make sure you guys always get this. The Cromford Report, okay, index, okay? Cromford Market Index, I should say, CMI. 90 to 110 is balanced. Below 90 is a buyer's market. Jump right in if you're a buyer and get in there and get in while the getting's good. 110 plus is a seller's market. Sellers have a little more leverage, even though sometimes it doesn't feel that way, right? But let's share my screen and talk about some gauges here for a second, all right? Phoenix, you are now officially in a seller's market. Oh, can you believe it? It's crazy. Now, let's be clear. There's plenty of places in Phoenix that are going to be advantageous to buy, right? And you have a lot of leverage, okay? But if you're a seller and you want to put your house on the market, you want to sell, it's trending in the right direction, okay? So that's good for you. Now let's go to Glendale. Let's go to West Valley here, okay? This is where the Super Bowl is going to be taking place. Glendale, you are now trending and are officially in a seller's market. It is crazy how fast that kind of turned. Let's go to Surprise out there by Glendale. Surprise in the Northwest Valley. You're at 91, okay? So you're into balance at this point. Let's bounce around here. Let's go to the East Valley. Let's check out Gilbert, right? 102, you are balanced. Let's check out Chandler right next to Gilbert. Holy smokes, look at Chandler. Wowzers, right? You're crushing it. Good job, Chandler. And then you have Fountain Hills. Fountain Hills has been the mainstay, guys. Let's check this out. Fountain Hills, 165. Guys, if you're a seller in Fountain Hills, you have a lot to be happy for because you're going to do decently pretty well when selling your house overall, generally speaking. Demand is up. Supply is extremely low. So again, this window of time that you could sell, that you could do really well. Let's check out Scottsdale. 125. You're in a seller's market. And let's do one more for the fun of it. Let's go to Anthem. Anthem gets no love sometimes around here. Anthem just located just north of where the new TSMC big manufacturing plant is going, and that area is going to continue to explode with home values over the long term for sure because of that TSMC and all the high paying jobs that are coming because of it. Anthem, you ring in at, oh my goodness. Guys, I didn't check Anthem before this. I'm just telling you that is random. And TSMC is, I think, doing some big things for you. Look at this, 182 in Anthem. Not a whole lot for sale. All right, I'm going to jump around here now to show you some more media. Okay, some more media. January 23rd. Today's the 26th, guys. This is just a couple days ago, right? Yahoo News reports a real estate bottom. More home buyers, jump back in as the year kicks off. Okay, so is this the real estate bottom? Yahoo News is now reporting this is the real estate bottom. Real estate agents confirm what housing data is starting to show. Here we go. This despair or the skepticism, is starting to turn into like belief, right? More home buyers are emerging from their self-imposed hibernation. The volume of mortgage applications of home purchases, this is nationally, rose 25% week over week, according to the MBA on January 13th. Housing sentiment ticked higher at the end of last year per Fannie Mae. They're all reporting this influx of people looking to maybe buy a home now. These buyers are hoping to reap the rewards of a more favorable market, bagging seller incentives along with a slightly lower mortgage rate. Okay, before the spring buying, a season attracts more competition. So across the country, it's going to be a little slower than obviously Phoenix this time of year. Why? Because it's still freezing cold there. But the spring season is upon us come April and May in most places across the country. Phoenix, the spring season is upon us now, guys. Now, and so we are starting to see a much more robust market with more demand, surging demand. So, guys, this is a Yahoo article talking about the real estate bottom. They have just bottomed out recently here because people are back in the game. All right. So there you go. Now, what I want to show you is what's interesting by contrast. Okay, check this out. One day later, this is good. One day later, Yahoo News reports, Yahoo Finance here, housing, the three biggest challenges home buyers are facing right now, according to agents and buyers. One day later, the housing bottom has occurred. Home buying activity is surging. One day later, the three biggest challenges home buyers are facing right now. Holy cow, big time challenges. Are they going to be able to buy? It is no secret that buying a house is tough right now. Home buyers are facing rising interest rates, low inventory, and still high prices. Yahoo Finance sat down with both experts and home seekers to see what the market looks like on the ground. Here's what they had to say. Oh, this is going to be juicy. Higher interest rates have stopped buyers in their tracks. What? Okay, guys, one day earlier, they just said the real estate market is booming. It's amazing. Bottom has already occurred. And now, guess what? Home buyers have just been stopped in their tracks. Generally speaking, buyers are really holding off at the moment. What? You just said they're jumping back in at full force for a variety of reasons, including new interest rates, a real estate agent in Los Angeles said. Okay. The average 30-year fixed loan currently hovers at around 6.5%, compared to roughly 3.5% a year ago. Consequently, the National Association of Realtors, NAR, recently reported that existing U.S. home sales totaled 5.03 million last year, a 17.8 decline from 2021, the weakest year of home sales since 2014. It just came to a grinding halt when interest rates went crazy. Okay, we all know this, right? Inventory's gotten low. Getting prices right is tough. And then you can continue reading, guys, but the clickbait is just incredible. It's laughable, guys. So, guys, be careful what you're watching, what you're listening to, okay? The clickbait is silly. Just join in to our YouTube live or watch our videos all the time, and we will bring you, I promise you, we'll bring you the real thing that's happening, guys. As you know, back at the end of last year, we were bringing you what the Cromford Market said. We were bringing you what we feel in the trenches, and it wasn't good information. It wasn't good information. It may not have been the best time to buy. In fact, most people did not buy at the end of last year. Some people will still hold off, and that's okay this year, right? But they still will. But the people who are trying to time the market always miss it because you can't unless it's just complete dumb luck. So just remember that, guys. If you're waiting to time the market, you may be waiting a long, long time because there's no way to absolutely do it without just getting lucky. Okay. So follow the trends, follow what you think may happen, and make the best informed decision. A couple more things to cover here, guys, that I think are important. Hey, but first, T. Wow, good comment. I love it. Also, what else you got here, T? Crazy to see the difference in headlines and information in articles on the current state of the market. I totally agree. And they're one day apart. You would at least think they would try to spread it out a few days so people won't notice, right? No, because I guess they just think Americans are just not smart enough. But we are. We are. Lori, what's up, Lori? Appreciate you explaining everything so clearly. You're welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Guys, thank you for your comments. I always do appreciate that and love hearing what you guys have to think about these same comments, these same topics. What, good, bad, the ugly. Okay. Now, a few more things. Let's jump back over here. I want to cover a few things which I think are always interesting, right? And here we go. Let me share my screen. Okay. Report here for the Phoenix Business Journal, which is an awesome place for news. Record amount of households look to relocate out of their metro area in Q4. Now, that's not like, rocket science when it came to 2021, 2020, and even 2022, but this is Q4 2022. It's still happening. Who are the benefactors? Okay. All right. Despite a much cooler housing market, a higher percentage of people looking to buy a home in the fourth quarter were seeking to purchase outside of their metro area, suggesting that relocation trends remain strong nearly 3 years after the pandemic's onset. Well, guess what, guys? Phoenix is one of those destination cities that benefits dramatically from relocation. Okay. So, what is Redfin saying here? Well, let's go down to the graph. Here we go. Let's just get right to it because that's kind of person I am, right? Let's get to the point. Los Angeles is number 2, San Francisco number 1, New York number 3, Washington, D.C. 4, Chicago, Boston. Shockingly enough, Denver. And I think Denver makes that list primarily because of affordability, because Denver had a huge run up, I think. I'm just guessing there, okay? Detroit, Seattle, Hartford. The only one that's kind of odd in here is Denver. Now, where's their top destination of choice? Chicago. Did United Airlines move their hub or something like that from Denver to Chicago? Because they have two, one in each city, so maybe they had some big transfer of employees. I don't know what happened there. That seems kind of odd, right? I wonder if there's a huge company that has hubs in both cities that made some moves or whatnot. I don't know. Consolidations. I don't know. But everything else makes a lot of sense, right, guys? Check out Phoenix. We are the benefactor of Seattle. Okay. Net outflow Q4, 1,500 people. Net outflow Q4 2021, 15,000 people. So, guys, pretty much on most of these, they are they're down, right? 40,000 in San Fran to 26, 32 to 23, 19 to 17, 13 to 12. But guys, people are leaving California in droves. People are leaving New York and DC in droves, right? And they're going to these places. Check this out. San Diego's a benefactor of Los Angeles. That's interesting. Maybe a little smaller feel, same weather. I don't know. Miami, Virginia Beach, Milwaukee from Chicago, getting out of the city. Boston to Portland, Maine. Good job, Portland, Maine. Detroit's going to Cleveland. That's interesting. Seattle to Phoenix, and Hartford, Connecticut to Boston. Boston, all right? So that's some inflow, outflow. People are moving. And Phoenix is like number 2 and 3 on a lot of these lists, by the way, just so you're aware, okay? Which is not a shock to anybody, right? But continue the population influx to outflux is well over 3 to 1 for Phoenix right now, okay? And guys, let me show you this too. This is interesting. A Phoenix robotics firm delivers its first ever 3D printed homes in less than 60 days. Did you even know they're making 3D printed homes? Come on, guys. Anybody know that? I wasn't full. I mean, I've heard of it, but I wasn't aware, if it's like on the cusp of actually happening. But due to labor shortages, they are now, this is really starting to take off because this is a lot of automation. In fact, I got this highlighted right here. There isn't enough labor to build homes in this country anymore. If you don't have labor, the only way to solve the problem is through automation. Our system will ultimately offset 60% of the manual labor required to build a new home. Our goals are better, faster, and cheaper. Interesting, right? Okay, so let's check this out. Diamond Age is the name of the company. And guess what, guys? It's just one more company that moved from California to where? Phoenix, Arizona, right? It's a trend, guys. I'm telling you. They began selling its first ever 3D printed homes starting in the upper 200,000s. 200,000, now you just have to find the land, right? Using full stack robotics, they built homes in just 60 days. That's crazy. Brand new construction. Right now, it's a little bit different. It's a 3D printer, right? And here's the crazy part. We build the roof, plaster walls, stucco the exterior, paint, and cut openings for doors, windows with robotics. Okay. And they're going to do their first community of 3D printed homes in Casa Grande on behalf of Denver-based Century Communities, right? So Casa Grande, you are moving up, and Casa Grande needs it. You know why, guys? Because there is a lot of industry in the Casa Grande, Coolidge area. You have Lucid Motors down there, and some of these, these tech companies that have moved headquarters down there with a lot of jobs, and people need housing. They don't want to drive, 25 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour to into the valley, right, into Maricopa or into Chandler or whatever it may be. So guys, check this out. They moved their 20 employees here, so they can build all these homes, and it's just 20 employees, right? Because a lot of automation. Um, that's crazy. So, anyways, they're really happy about now they have 160 employees, right? But now they're really happy about their move to Arizona, which is awesome, as are a lot of other businesses, guys. So, anyways, I want to keep this is like the one thing I like to throw in at the end, right? That's kind of unique, kind of different, and this is coming. This is coming. So, one of these days, you might own a property that it was built by a 3D printer. They can do all kinds of crazy things now with 3D printers, right? But this is just the next thing here, right? So, guys, what do you think about 3D printers? Would you live in a 3D printed home? Now, what it did not say is, how does the plumbing work? How does the electrical work? All that stuff, and they haven't figured out. But the other thing too, just so you know, I didn't find an article on it. Is or I should say, is modular homes. Have you heard of that? Okay, that's coming too. There's already modular hotels being built, modular apartment complexes being built, and that's the next thing coming as well. So you have 3D homes, you're gonna have modular homes, and so in these modular homes, I actually have a friend who owns a company in South Dakota that runs a business that builds modular apartments and hotels, and even I think hospitals too. And what they do, they're able to build them on site in their factory, and then it's just shipping costs down to the site, and they assemble these modulars, right? And they're built like basically rooms, and so bathrooms, bedrooms, etc., living rooms are built in these modular containers, if you will, and they're put together and stitched together to make a home or an apartment complex or whatever it may be. So that's coming too, and that's going to solve any issues that we have with labor. Because if you guys have tried to build a house recently, holy cow, right? COVID didn't do us any favors, but even prior to COVID, it was still not a super fast process, right? Because especially in a place like Phoenix where demand is just significantly increasing, and so you have to have more and more housing, which is part of the reason why, guys, the housing market got driven up so quickly, because we just didn't have the supply. Abby, what do you got here? I'm not sure. I'd want to be the first to live in a 3D printed home. Wonder how it compares quality wise. That's a good question. This is like new for me too. I don't know for sure, but I have heard, okay, I have heard that it's actually really, really good. And that there's really no difference. In fact, I've heard, it's different opinions, but I've heard someone say it's even better because of insulation and quality and so on and so forth. Where if it's stick built frame, right, you have these 2x4s, right, 2x6s, and then you have, the drywall with insulation in between if it's an exterior wall, things of that nature. So it could be, in many cases, maybe better. But we'll see. The jury's still out. Well, we know what we'll do. Maybe we'll take our show down to Casa Grande when this is up and running, and we'll interview somebody who lives in one of these 3D printed homes. Would that be good? That's an idea. That would be kind of cool, I think. So, guys, we are out of time. We have taken too much of your precious time, but thank you very much for joining our YouTube Live. And hopefully you understand that you have the data, not the drama. You don't have clickbait here. You're going to hear the real story. What to do if you're selling depends what city you're in, depends what neighborhood you're in. Give us a call. What to do if you want to buy depends what you can afford. Can you qualify? Is the payment at 6.5% if that's your rate, which is roughly what it is for a 30-year mortgage right now? Is that payment affordable for what you make currently for the house you want? And if you can afford it, and it's not going to stretch you too thin to where you may not be able to make the payment at some point down the road, then you could even, in addition to that, do a rate buy down. We talk about this all the time on the show. You have the rate buy down where you can do a 2-1 buy down, a 3-2-1 buy down, and get the rate buy down from 6.5, let's say, down to 5.5 or 4.5 or 3.5 for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Now, what's the chances the rates will settle back down into a much more favorable amount? Probably not 3. Let's be clear about that. But 5.5, 5, maybe high 4s, sometime over the next 2 years. Probably pretty good. Honestly, probably good. Because think about it, guys. The Fed and the powers that be that run the economy, so to speak, they have to slowly get them down at some point once they get inflation under control. Some point to where the person who has a 3% mortgage is okay making the jump from 3 to X. Most people aren't going to make the jump from 3 to 6.5. Just not going to happen. However, what would they make the jump to if they could find a right house, a reasonably priced house, let's say, with a reasonable mortgage payment? I think most people would probably go from 3 to 4.5 all day long. I think most people would probably go from 3 to 5 all day long, and probably maybe even 5.5 from 3. So we'll see what happens, but they have to eventually get it back down there so that those people feel comfortable to move and getting rid of their 3% mortgage for a 5% mortgage, right? And to do so, then you have the transaction flow begins to increase and occur, and it's much better. So guys, that's my 2 cents. We'll see what happens. Right now, I think the market's going to do pretty decent in terms of demand through at least May, because that's what the data suggests. But as you know, we're going to track it every single week for you. So tune in and comment. Let us know what you think, and we will rock and roll here, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you here next week. Take care, guys.